a video about how sound waves can actually make the cells to move. And I'm not sure if that can also affect the sperm cells also. So do you guys do any research around that? Is that something that can be transferred to real life situation in terms of helping
Yeah.
a spermatozoa that is not able to move? Because the spermatozoa need to swim, right? And
Mm-hmm.
if it's not moving, it's a problem. I think a comedian said something about that's actually the problem that he had. I forgot his name. It's a white comedian. They say, well, his sperm could not swim, and they couldn't do anything to that, so they had to do IVF. But then, is there any situation as to if transferring of that technology of sound waves into an alternative way for IVF, maybe for people that have religious reasons for not doing IVF?
You mean in vivo? That might be difficult. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I think it's one. I went for a conference in Canada last year. I met one guy who gave us a talk about some of the technologies, additional technologies he's working on in microfluidics and
Yes.
um, ultrasound applications, right? So he's I think he's in Australia. I met him. He works with Monash University in Australia. Very sound guy. I listened to his lecture. Very brilliant. Blew my mind off. So I met him after the conference, and we further talked. And we might even collaborate on some researches down the line. So he's doing one interesting research whereby he's using ultrasound waves to wake up sperm that are non-motile. Right. One of the first things we also do when people want to come for IVF, before they even get to the stage of we even considering IVF, we have to test them. We have to check the status of their sperm parameters. So some people we know that they might have good sperm count, sperm concentration is not an issue, but then motility is an issue. So such situations where there's inadequate motile sperm, we call it astenospermia or astenospermia. So it's diagnosis that means that your sperm motility is less than I think 39-40% now. Right. So one other the thing we like to think about right away is that okay, we're going to consider this technology we call ICSI for them. ICSI is intracytoplasmic sperm injection. Right. That all right for any individual who has a viable but non-motile sperm. Now, another thing is viability of the sperm. The mark of viability is that the sperm is moving, or sometimes it might just even be twitching, or or just be dancing on the spot. Of course, when we see such sperm, we try to avoid them because we think they're crazy sperm. So, but we like to see a sperm that is forwardly progressive. All right, that is moving and gliding in a forwardly progressive. It might be a forwardly up, forwardly down, right or left, whichever direction is going. As long as it's forwardly progressive, it's a healthy sperm, right? And healthy sperm is subjective because we still don't know what is going on inside with regards to genetics. So this guy was actually specifically working on those situations whereby there's astenospermia, that is bad sperm motility. So I was trying to utilize the application of those ultrasound waves to, charge them and wake them up. And it was successful. And some of those sperm actually wake up. And some instances where we get to see that is when maybe a guy was diagnosed with azoospermia, which is no sperm count at all, and it's non-obstructive, and they have to go to the testicles or the epididymal tissues to actually source for sperm. The sperm that you take from the testicles or the epididymis, sometimes they are not motile sperm. It doesn't mean they are dead, but then you have to wait for them to wake them up. All right. Sometimes you process them in some media solutions that gives them some additional juice, and we incubate them, and we see that they are motile by the time we want to use them. Sometimes some don't even wake up at all, and we have to fish through a sea of dead sperm. And as long as we see even as the slightest twitching in one sperm, we pick that sperm, all right, and we use it, and we've had fertilization with such sperm. So this guy in Australia was trying to increase the chances of waking up those kind of sleeping sperm, maybe not dead sperm, with ultrasound waves, such that we can actually um, not have to exempt those sperm that we think are dead. Because in embryology, when we want to inject the eggs, we really have to see that the sperm is moving. Because if you choose a sperm that's not moving, it could be that the sperm is dead and the DNA has been compromised. It's not going to give you a good fertilization. Or even if there's fertilization, there might not be embryogenesis. All right, so the guys, I mean, he's still gonna have to go through a couple of, I mean, FDA approval before they actually accept to admit our technology as with the other ones we're using. They have to check that, okay, the application of the ultrasound waves you're using, does it have any detrimental effect on the sperm? Right? Does it have any detrimental effect on the egg? So that in the future will not have woken up monster sperms and develop monster embryos or babies that will be genetically abnormal at the end of the day. So that is a viable technology that might, I mean, join our plethora of assisted conception technologies that we have already, and that could be also useful down the line. Now, of course, there are several other technologies that we can use. Some people, when they're trying to see which sperm is viable, some people fire laser. You use laser in a microscope at the tail of the sperm. When you fire the laser and it twitches and wakes up, it's a mark that it's alive, even if it's not moving. There are some chemicals that they can add, all right, to the media that we practice sperm in. Pentoxifilin, for instance, would improve sperm motility. Some people, I mean, I met a guy who said a doctor prescribed some kind of cough syrup for them because some of those cough syrup ingredients actually have some chemical that are material ingredients that actually wake up sperm and improve their motility as well. So sometimes maybe even coffee,
Coffee.
some ingredients, yeah, can actually wake up. It all boils down to triggering the activity of the mitochondrion. That's the energy house of the sperm, right? Whereby it needs to whip its tail and actually assume motion in that fluid-based environment, be it the seminal fluid, the culture media we're using to prep it, and so on and so forth. So yeah, ultrasound applications to improve sperm motility is something to look out for in the future, just like we mentioned.
Wow. Wow. Thank